Welcome back to Good Afternoon Berks Country here on the Voice WEEU. Matt and Kirsten keeping you company up until 5 o'clock, and it has been a music-themed show throughout. You're going to continue along that trend. Our next guest has toured with Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. Tommy James and the Shondells also worked with Barry Manilow, Paul Schaefer, and many, many, many more. Today he's a member of the Hitmen. They're coming to the Santander Performing Arts Center in Reading on Saturday, March the 21st. Let's give a warm welcome to Lee Shapiro. Lee, how are you today?
Great, Matt. How are you doing, man?
I'm fantastic. Are you excited to be coming back to Reading?
We're ready to come back, man. I hear you playing my friend Tommy James's hit behind you, and that's one of the tunes that we cover because of my relationship with Tommy, and we're looking forward to doing that for all the great people at Santander.
Yeah, absolutely. Your band, such an amazing group of musicians. You played with everybody. How did you put the Hitmen together?
Well, Jerry Polci and I were two of Frankie Valli's Four Seasons throughout the 70s. We did Who Loves You, My Eyes Adored You. The biggest hit we ever had was December 63, Oh What a Night. And instead of Frankie Valli singing lead on that record, it's Jerry Polci. So when people come and hear us, they hear it right off the record, but by the same guys who played it and sang it. So with the success of Jersey Boys, people have been asking Jerry and I if we're going to do something together again for a very long time. And this seemed to be the time. I called Frankie Valli and I said, Frank, we want to do this. What do you think? He was very supportive. He said, go off and do it, man. He's still touring. It's a gas. You can't replace what it feels like to perform, on stage to all these people with this great music. And we got together our closest friends from the industry in New York, Russell Velasquez, who was with Chicago and the Ramones and Luther Vandross, Jimmy Ryan, who was the original member of the Critters and also was with Carly Simon for 20 years, and Cat Stevens and Elton John, and Larry Gates, who worked with Bon Jovi and with Carole King. And we put it together and we call ourselves the Hitmen because we do the hits of the people we toured with or the hits we recorded ourselves, and that's what makes up our show.
It's interesting. You read all the biographies of the members of your band, and you rattled off some of the names. Really, really impressive. Everybody is not just an instrumentalist. Everybody's also a vocalist. I guess that's pretty great having so many guys with vocal ability as far as arrangements, and you can tackle all those great harmonies.
Well, we do that, and I'll tell you something. What's really great for me is that I'm so impressed with the other guys in the band that I know that if I get up there and just play my parts and sing my parts, that it's going to sound great because they're the best people that I've ever heard, and now we're all together in one band. It makes it really super.
Yeah, I've seen some of the videos that you've got up on YouTube and through your website, and there was even an a cappella video from a radio station, just the five of you, and there maybe were some other people in the studio. Blown away. So tight, so precise with the harmonies. Really great.
Thank you very, very much. Well, honestly, we've been doing this a good long time. Each guy has not only a beautiful career going with the Hitmen, but these guys, their history is so deep and they've performed with so many of the great pop stars of our time that, they're really the top guys. And when they sing together, it is magical.
Again, looking at some of the biographies of the band members, I'm going to rattle off some more of the names. Obviously, Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, Sting, Chicago, the Critters, Paul McCartney, Mick Jagger, Rod Stewart, Carly Simon, Elton John, the Ramones, Paul Schaefer, Desmond Child, who wrote all the hits of the 80s, LL Cool J, even the new metal act, Korn. Drawing from at least some of these, how do you try to put a set list together with that big of a repertoire to choose from?
It's not easy because we only want to play hits, and there are so many to choose from. But what we really do is we play the songs that we feel the audience will remember exactly where they were the first time they heard it. That's really what guides our hand as far as putting together a set list. We want to evoke youth and, nostalgia.
What songs typically get the biggest response from the crowd? Well,
the biggest hit that ever was is Oh What a Night. Uh-huh. It was in Jersey Boys. Jerry sang it in 1976. It was a hit again in 1990. That one gets an incredible response. We actually have people standing up, dancing in the aisles, standing in their seats. And these are not people who are 30. Most of our audience is 50 and above, and they bring their kids or grandkids. But to see people of our generation standing up and literally acting like high school seniors is something that you can't even imagine.
Oh, that is great. You guys have a couple of CDs out now. Why don't you tell me some more about that?
I will. Thanks for mentioning it. We sell the CDs at the at concerts, but they're also available on cdbaby.com. One of them is a studio album, which features some more of our friends. The horn section from the Rolling Stones is on it. Jerry Polci's daughter, who also happens to be Frankie Frankie Valli's granddaughter, Olivia Polchi. She does a guest appearance on it. And then we have the soundtrack to our TV special that we shot up at Mohegan Sun Casino, and that's for public TV. And the soundtrack of that is our second CD, and we're working on our third one as we speak.
Oh, how soon is that going to be coming out?
Probably in the summer. We like to take our time.
Well, obviously, yeah, sure. I got to ask you a couple. This is an offbeat kind of question. I see you were involved with the creation of a rock and roll Elmo.
Yeah, you obviously did your homework, Matt, and I appreciate it. Yeah, actually, I used to have a jingle production company in the 90s, and as the 90s were coming to an end, I was doing a lot of toy commercials, and it occurred to us that really rock and roll had a place with children, and up until that point, it was always looked at as kind of a taboo for children. And so my wife and I put together this Elmo doll, and we stuck a shaky module inside, and she made a wonderful costume. And we showed it to my client, who I was doing jingles for at Fisher-Price, and they flipped out. 2 years later, they released it, and we had created the second biggest hit for Fisher-Price with Elmo that ever was. So it was unbelievable, bigger than my musical career. So you know what? When you have a creative idea, when you have a thought, you got to follow it. It doesn't matter what happens at the end. You just got to follow it.
Follow it to its conclusion. You just never know, right? Hey,
you just don't know.
Can you compare touring in the 70s versus today? How is it different?
The travel was easier. More flights, less people, less restrictions, and you could be on a flight across the country with 7 people on it and have run of the thing. Today, the economy doesn't permit that. And we always say that the promoters who hire us, they pay us to travel and we play for free.
So you're coming to Reading on Saturday, March 21st, Santander Performing Arts Center. How can people get tickets? Can they do that through your website?
Honestly, not on our website, but you can go to the Santander website. You can go to the Call the Box office. You can go on Ticketron. All of these services have our schedule. And we would love for them to come by and just share this whole time travel, as we call it.
Well, Lee, thanks so much for joining us. Your website is thehitmenlive.com. Again, Saturday, March 21st at the Santander Performing Arts Center in Reading. Thanks for coming on the show today, Lee.
Matt, I can't thank you enough. Also, if these listeners would go to facebook.com/thehitmenlive and become friends of ours and like our page and all that just gets us to that many more towns, and we really do appreciate that. Continued success to you, Matt, too. You've got a heck of a show.
Thanks very much. Appreciate that, Lee.